Welcome back to Decked Out.
On today's episode, we are joined by Cherries, and we are going to be checking out the brand new Duskmourn precons.
Now, we weren't part of the early access from Wizards this time around, so we just headed to our LGS and picked up the precons as soon as we possibly could. And you can do the same by heading to our sponsor, Tales of Adventure.
Plus, you'll get 5% off if you do.
And as always, thank you to our other sponsors, Moxfield and Ultimate Guard, and today's episode sponsor, the Elven Throne Kickstarter. But more on all of them later in the video.
That's enough from us for now. Let's go ahead and meet these brand new commanders.
Hey everyone, I'm Cherries, and today I'm playing Aminachu Veil Piercer. This is an awesome deck that cares about miracles and enchantments. Plus, she surveils in your upkeep, so you get to control the top of your deck, so you can get whatever you want on top, and then play it at a reduced cost.
To everything there is a season, and today that season is winter. Specifically, Winter Cynical Opportunist. He's all about delirium, so during each of my turns, I'm going to be trying to dump big permanents into my graveyard that have a lot of different card types. And then at the end of the turn, he'll return them to the battlefield for free. My graveyard's basically my hand.
I'm MTGNerdGirl, and today I am playing Valgavoth, Harrower of Souls. Now, this may look like a scary demon, but it's really not that bad. The bigger issue with the deck is that it's going to put my opponents in a bad situation. They won't be able to play lands, cast spells, without doing a ton of damage to themselves, and then I will get to reap some benefits with some extra card draw and value.
I'm VeggieWagon, and I am not a fan of horror films because I think that jump scares are cheap. But I like them a lot better when those jump scares are free. Simone, Mystery Unraveler, allows me to manifest dread off the top of my library, so I have a good chance of hitting a creature, and then I can flip them face up for free, as long as I just play lands, which is the easiest thing to do in the game. No problem, right?
Today's episode sponsor is Elven Throne, a brand new board game that's currently on Kickstarter.
This will tickle your commander brains with political moves, complex board states, and combos on the stack.
Welcome to Game Night!
Well, the two of you are out of actions, so this is going to be the last thing that goes in the stack. I'm going to activate the Politician, and because it's in the Senate, I can activate a tile anywhere on the board. I'm going to choose the Drake over here, which can do the action of a beast anywhere on the board.
No!
So if I choose the dragon right here, I can remove 2 of your tiles within range, leaving me with sole control over the library.
Not Derek. I needed Derek. He was gonna act next.
All right, I'm gonna play Michael over here because I don't want that to happen again. And this can allow me to cancel the activation of tiles within 3 tiles. So no more funny business.
We'll see.
Okay, well, you know how much I love my alternate win conditions. So I'm gonna put Derek onto the board far away from any of you guys. He says that if the sum of all of the alignments in the throne room is equal to 0, then I win along with whoever else controls the throne room.
Now, we've featured this board game on the show before, but this is officially your last call. There's only about 11 days left to back this Kickstarter and help us unlock those stretch goals. Make sure you use the link down below in the description so that way they know that we sent you.
And you better do it right now because we're about to start the game. Let's play some Magic.
Welcome to the table. Let's see who goes first. 13.
14?
8.
Not me.
I'll play this Necroblossom Snarl untapped. I'm going to reveal this swamp to all of you. And then I'll pay 1 for a Gnarlwood Dryad. It's a 1/1 Death Touch with Delirium. If I have 4 or more types of cards in my graveyard, it's actually a 3/3. Pass.
I'm just gonna play a tapped land for turn and pass.
Oh. Tapped Tangled Islet and pass.
Ooh, but I was gonna play this tap land, but I actually want to play this tap land, Temple of Enlightenment, which will allow me to scry. I think it is incorrect to keep that on top, but it's a very cool card and I want to cast it. So I'm gonna leave it on top and pass.
I like that.
It's a reason, good reason.
I guess we're just going to play this swamp, and I'm gonna come in at Joe for 1.
I knew it was coming at me. I didn't even talk this time.
Well, if you want to attack me back, then you have to leave your pants down for me to come at you again. It's the beauty of it. Pass.
Mountain for turn, and I'll just ramp it up with a Fellwar Stone. And that's it, I'll pass.
I'll play this island and pass the turn with 2 blue untapped.
Oh, wow. We're going to play another tap land, one of my least favorite Magic cards of all time. Halimar Depths. It taps for blue mana, but when it enters, I get to look at the top 3 and put them back in any order. See, this is my least favorite part about Halimar depth. I looked at the top of my deck, I need to find a black land. That is what I'm missing. Top 3 cards aren't a black land. Guess what? I'm stuck drawing those. I'm going to wish that I could put all of these on the bottom, but this is not scry. This is just put them back. So I will put all 3 of them on top instead of on the bottom where I wish they were. Go ahead.
That's great.
Joe's just trying to get Airball not to attack them again.
Please don't attack me. My next 3 draws suck.
Joe, take 1.
I knew it was coming. I deserve that one. I talked myself into it.
I'm gonna play this Dryad Arbor. It is a 1/1 land creature. It is affected by Summoning Sickness. It can't be tapped, but eventually it'll tap for green. On one hand, it makes sense that Dryad Arbor is in the deck. It has 2 card types, which means it counts double towards my Delirium. But the problem is, the deck also relies on its creatures dying and sort of shrugging it off. You can't really shrug off one of your land drops dying, especially when you've already missed one earlier in the game.
Hold on. You are actively cheating. Because in the rules of Magic, this must be with your creatures.
It is, it's with itself.
You big cheater.
And then I'll pay 1 for this Haywire Might. It is a 1/1 artifact creature insect. When it dies, I gain 2, and I can pay green and sack it to exile an artifact or enchantment that is not a creature. And then I'll pass to NerdGirl.
All right, Mountain for turn, and I won't even use it. I'm just gonna play a Morbid Opportunist. A 1/3, this is whenever 1 or more other creatures die, I get to draw a card. It triggers only once per turn. And I will pass.
At the end of your turn, I'll pay 2. To flash in Growing Dread, it is an enchantment. When it enters, I manifest Dread, and when I turn a permanent face up, I put a +1/+1 counter on it. So, manifesting Dread, I look at these 2 cards. One of them gets manifested. I'll put this Simic Signet into the graveyard and put this little manifest onto the board. All right, well, I'm going to observe my untap step. I'll play a Forest, and then I'll pay 3 for Scroll of Fate. I can tap it to manifest a card from my hand. Let's do that right now. I'll put this mystery card face down. 1/3, that blocks manifests.
Yeah. I got the booty.
Well, I'll go to combat, and Joe, I'll pass the turn to you.
Oh, that was very, very, very kind of you. Well, I was just talking about how my top cards are very poor, and I do not want to draw them. So I will cast an Otherworldly Gaze, which will allow me to surveil 3. I will take all 3 of these and throw them into the graveyard, as I do not want to draw any of them. I'll then tap 2 to cast Telling Time. It is an instant that lets me look at the top 3 cards in my library, put one of them into my hand, the other on the top, and the other on the bottom. And I will pass to you.
On your end step, I'm gonna pop the Haywire Might, and I'm gonna get rid of Ether Vial at home over there and gain 2.
Whenever 1 or more creatures dies, I get to draw a card.
Well, it didn't die.
Yours did.
Yours
Oh,
did.
the Haywire Might, yeah.
Thanks, Airball.
You got it.
We can be friends.
Guess we're just going to pay 2 for an Obsessive Principal Skinner. It is a 1/1. When it enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Currently, there are 2 types in my graveyard. And I will try to put the +1/+1 counter on the Dryad Arbor. This time, Dryads stay in home, so I'll pass.
I will play my Swamp for turn, and then I will play one of my most hated cards of all time. We're gonna tap 5, and I'm gonna cast Brash Taunter.
Oh boy.
A 1/1 with Indestructible that says whenever it's dealt damage, I can deal that much damage to target opponent. I can also pay 3 and have it fight something. Pass.
I will play this Myriad Landscape as my land for turn, which can let me get 2 lands later. And then I'll pay 3 for Yavimaya Elder, a 2/1. When it dies, I can search for up to 2 basic lands and put them into my hand, and I can pay 2 to sack it and draw a card. Back in the day, I would put a Skull Clamp on this and be very happy with myself.
When aren't you very happy with yourself?
Okay, Joe, I'll give you 2. Pass the turn.
I will tap 3 for a Monologue Tax. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, please cast multiple spells, I get a treasure. I will then pay 1 to play a Brainstone, or I can pay 2 and sacrifice it to Brainstorm, which is to draw 3 and put 2 back on top. and I will pass to you, Airball.
Yeah, let's do this. I'm going to float green with my Dryad Arbor. And then I'm going to play Golgari Rot Farm. Enters battlefield tapped. When it enters, return a land you control to its owner's hand. I'm going to bounce the Dryad Arbor. And then I'm going to use the floating green to cast Deluge of Doom, which says all creatures get neg-X, where X is the number of types among cards in my graveyard, which is 2. That bounce land off the top saved the day. Not only does it stop me from missing another land drop, it also lets me bounce my Dryad Arbor out of the way of the board wipe while still hitting everyone else's creatures just the same. That's pretty great value.
Are you serious? The one-time Brash Chaunter's on my side?
And 2 manifests over there.
See how easy it is to deal with?
Kills my stuff too.
I actually lied. I do love you because that was very good for me.
I thought that was really cute with the Dryad Arbor too.
That was the cutest of plays.
That's going to get rid of this Retreat to Coral Helm and this Trigon Predator that I was trying to be sneaky with. But at least I'll get some basic lands.
And more than one creature died, I'll get to draw off the Morbid Opportunist, which will survive.
And that's all I can do. I'll pass.
All right, Joe, I'll give it to you. 2 mana for an Arcane Signet, and then I will tap 4 to just play my commander. Valgavoth, Harrower of Souls, a 4/4 with flying and ward pay 2 life. And whenever an opponent loses life on their turn for the first time, I get to put a +1/+1 counter on this card and draw a card.
Trigger, I will get a treasure.
The person I'm the most scared of, I think, is Joe and Veggie. And Joe's been taking a bunch of damage, so Morbid Opportunist is gonna poke Veggie in the eye.
Ew.
And then I will pass the turn.
I'm about to give you something just as good as your Brash Taunter. Not really, but we are now going to be besties. First, I'm gonna play this Yavimaya Coast, which is not great for me, but I'm going to use it to play Giggling Skitter Spike. Yeah, we did. I immediately ripped it off the top. This is a 1/1 indestructible. When it attacks, blocks, or becomes the target of a spell, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Okay. So how is that? How are we friends?
Feeds this like absurdly.
Do you want to ping yourself for 1 with your Yavimaya?
No, I don't want to do that.
We would be best friends.
We're not already? That's it. I'll pass the turn.
All right, we're going to cast our commander, Amanatu Veil Piercer. She's a 2/4, and at the beginning of my upkeep, I get to surveil 2. Each enchantment card in my hand has Miracle, and its Miracle cost is equal to its mana value, but it's 4 less. That will be my turn, and I will pass to Airball.
Let's start by paying 3 for Harrow. It's an additional cost to cast the spell Sack a Land. Search your library for up to 2 basics, put them onto the battlefield, and then shuffle. I'm gonna sack the Swamp. All right, I will put this Swamp and this Forest into play. Then I will play the Dryad Arbor again. I will just pass.
My land for turn will be a Bloodfell Cliffs. When it enters, I get to gain a life. And then my play for turn is gonna be Nightshade Harvester, a 2/2 that says when a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, that player loses a life, and I get to put a +1/+1 counter on this.
Nightshade Harvester is excellent for NerdGirl, and even worse for me. Where the other players might be able to hold off on playing lands here and there, my entire strategy is built around it, so I really can't avoid it. I'm just gonna close my eyes and walk right into the trap. Are you kidding me?
So that's pretty sweet.
Wizards knew this deck was too good.
So I'm gonna go ahead and have my commander come in at Joe for 4 in the air. Yours is not flying, right?
It is not flying, and it only has 4 bot into attack, so it would just lose that combat. So we'll just take the 4. Boop.
And that'll be my turn.
I'm gonna pay 4. I'm going to cast my commander, Zimone Mystery Unraveler, a 3/3 with landfall. Whenever a land I control enters, I manifest Dread if it's the first time that the ability is resolved this turn. Otherwise, I can turn a permanent I control face up. And then I will play a land.
Good, I'll have a trigger. You're gonna take 1 damage from the Harvester.
Uh-huh.
And it'll get a counter. And I get another trigger from my commander. Whenever an opponent loses life for the first time on their turn, I get a counter and a card.
All right, and then I get my trigger. I will manifest dread. I'll put this mystery creature face down and put this island in the graveyard. And speaking of mystery, I'll pay 2 for a Trail of Mystery. Whenever a face-down creature I control enters, I can search for a basic land and put it into my hand, and when a permanent I control is turned face up, if it's a creature, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn.
Trigger on my monologue text to get a second treasure.
I will pass the turn.
We'll start at the beginning of my upkeep. I get to Surveil 2. I'm gonna leave both of them on top. Draw, and unfortunately I won't miracle anything. But I'm going to start my turn with an enchantment that was already in my hand. We're going to cast the first room of the game. Ooh, spooky, and I am choosing the left side, Cramped Vents. Whenever this door is unlocked, which it will happen when it enters the battlefield, I can deal 6 damage to target creature an opponent controls, and I will gain life equal to the excess damage dealt. And the way these room enchantments work is I can cast either the left side or the right side, depending on which one I would like to do, and then later I can unlock either side, depending on which one I had started with. So I'm starting with Cramped Vents, but later I can unlock Access Maze, which is a whole nother card essentially. Nerdgirl, because we are friends, I will allow you this one choice. That is, I will let you pick which one of your 2 creatures I will get rid of, rather than killing the one I think is better.
You couldn't have at least played a land first.
I only had 1 and I wanted to play it after.
And you'll have to pay the ward, which is 2 life.
I'll pay 2 life.
All right, I guess my commander will bite the dust.
Okay, and because I deal 6 damage and one of it is excess, I will gain 1 life.
I will also get to draw a card from the Morbid Opportunist because another creature has died.
All right, I will then play my land for turn, which will trigger the stinker over there.
Yep, you'll take 1 and I'll get a +1/+1 counter, but no card draw.
I will then pass the turn.
Let's start by tapping a forest to play a Soul Ring. And then we'll pay 4 to bring out my commander, Winter Cynical Opportunist. It's a 2/5 Death Touch. When it attacks, I mill 3. And if I have Delirium in my end step, I can exile a Delirium worth of cards. And if I do, I get to put a permanent card from among them onto the battlefield with a finality counter. Well, I think I'm not gonna do anything else. I'm just gonna pass to my end step. I will decline Winter's trigger and I'll pass to Nerdgirl.
Okay. Joe ruined my reindeer games.
I did not.
You did.
I slowed down your reindeer games.
I will just replay my commander. And I will slow down Joe's reindeer games.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
And we're gonna cast Feed the Swarm, and we're gonna destroy target creature or enchantment an opponent controls, and I lose life equal to its value. I would love to save this Feed the Swarm until later in the game, but Joe just took out my commander, set me back, I have the mana open, and I am honestly really worried about what the miracles can do.
Yes, so I will have a trigger on my monologue tax.
I'm just gonna choose your commander.
That is completely fair and what I figured, but well, in response, I'm gonna consider, let's see what we can do here. Let's crack this Brainstone and see what happens here. So, Brainstone goes to the graveyard, I will draw 3.
I lose how much life?
You will lose 4 life as that is what the mana
1, 2, 3, 4, but I will also get a trigger from the Morbid Opportunist and draw a card. And then I think I will stay home and pass to Veggie.
I will play an island.
I'll get a trigger. You'll lose a life, I'll get a counter,
Yup,
and I'll gain a counter, get a card.
yup. And then I will manifest dread. I will put this counter spell into the graveyard and this mystery creature face down, which will trigger Trail of Mystery, and I will search for a basic land. Then I'm going to pay 2 and sacrifice the Myriad Landscape to search for 2 basic lands and put those onto the battlefield. I'll put these 2 islands into play, which I think will trigger some things.
Yes, you'll get 2 more damage, and I'll get 2 more counters onto the Nightshade Harvester.
And then Zimone will trigger twice, and I can turn 2 permanents face up. I will flip this Ash Barrens, And this Rashmi Eternity's Crafter. 2/3. Whenever I cast my first spell each turn, reveal the top card of your library. I can cast it without paying its cost if it's a spell with a lesser mana value. And if I don't, I just put it in my hand. Then Growing Dread will put a +1/+1 counter onto each of these. And it does say permanent, so my Ash Barrens will get a +1/+1 counter. I'm not stopping anybody's attacks on me, so I will go to combat, and while I got it, I'll send this Rashmi to Joe. It is a 5/6.
5?
Yeah, I got +2/+2 from the Trail of Mystery. And I will play 0 spells this turn and pass the turn.
All right, I will untap for my turn. And I will draw, which is a miracle. It is Entreat the Angels, which for its miracle cost allows me to pay X and 2 white to make X 4/4 Flying Angels. Then Entreat the Angels is a huge turnaround for me. It puts me in control of the board, but my hand's really bad, and I know the top of my deck is pretty bad. Players are gonna look at me as a threat, even though I'm not as big of a threat as they might think. So we're just gonna shove every bit of mana we have on the board into this to make it X equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
What? I will then simply play a land for turn. All right, the land I played is Hall of Hyliad's Generosity, which asks for a colorless mana, or I can pay 1 in the white to tap and put an enchantment from my graveyard on top of my library.
And when that comes into the play, you're gonna lose a life and I'll get 2 counters and a card.
Go ahead.
Is anyone willing to get tickled by winter? Just a little frostbite to see if I can mill an answer to something over here. Anyone who I tickle will not get targeted by whatever I bring back.
It's an attack trigger, right?
Yeah, I think
Guys, I'm not that scared.
All right. I think the two of us, I'm in a decent spot, but I think the two of them are scary. I will allow it through for free. I will not even block, won't give NerdGirl any triggers.
Well, let's see what we can do. I'm going to go to combat and I'm going to ship Winter over to Veggie. We're going to mill 3 from his attack trigger. Ob, Ooze, Talisman. So that will increase the delirium count to 6 for anyone keeping score at home.
And there was no answers, so you guys can reevaluate and let me help find answers.
Well, now I can't do this thing.
Why not?
I can't re-block now.
No, but it's an attack trigger.
I can re-block. Literally the opposite of what I said.
Yeah, so like, if given permission.
Yeah.
I don't care whether the damage gets through. Whatever is best, what in your judgment for the table?
I'll take 2.
Okay. Let's go ahead and pay 2 for a Golgari Signet. And then we'll pay 4 for a Death Reap Ritual. It is an enchantment with Morbid. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, draw a card.
Trigger on the monologue tax, I will get a Hammy Treasure.
Then I'll go to my end step and I will get a Winter trigger, and this time I will exile a Delirium worth of cards, instant creature, artifact, planeswalker, and I will put a Scavenging Ooze into play off of it. Delirium count is going to go down to 4, and then I will pass the turn.
I'm gonna pay 2 for a Blood Artist, an 0/1 that says whenever another creature dies, I can have an opponent lose a life and I'll gain a life. And then I will cast Gray Merchant.
No.
A 2/4 that says each opponent loses a life for each devotion to black, and I gain as much life as life lost that way. So that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
You'll gain 18.
Yeah.
And I will gain 18, which hopefully saves me from the angels.
Do you guys now see that I am not the threat?
I now see that there is not a singular threat, but you are among them.
And pass the turn.
At the end of your turn, I will pay 5 and might as well monstrous this Giggling Skitter Spike. It's a 6/6 now. All right, let's start with Glitch Interpreter. This is a 2/3. When it enters, if I control no face-down permanents, I return it to my hand and manifest Dread. And then when one or more colorless creatures I control deal combat damage to a player, I draw a card. I like this card. Glitch Interpreter is going to ensure that I keep my board full and my hand full while setting up for some big plays using Zimone. First, I'll have a Rashmi trigger since it's my first spell of the turn. I will reveal this Castle Vantress from the top. I can't cast it, so it'll just go to my hand. Then the Glitch Interpreter will come into play, see no face down permanents, so go back to my hand and Manifest Dread. I will put this creature onto the battlefield and put a Simic Growth Chamber into my graveyard. Trail of Mystery saw a face down creature enter, so I'll search for a basic land. Because we need those. What's one card? I'm gonna play this Castle Vantress as my land for turn.
Thank you, Veggie. I'll get some counters and a card, and you will take a damage.
And then I will Manifest Dread for Zimone's ability. I'll put this creature face down as a manifest, and this They Came from the Pipes will sadly go to the graveyard. I think I just have to pass at this point.
All right, I believe on end step I am pretty in a weird desperate position, even though it looks like I'm scary. I'm going to sacrifice my treasure for a blue mana and cast a Brainstorm to draw 3 and put 2 back on top.
I hate it.
I'm in this position where there's no way for me to convince people I'm not a threat, but God, I'm not a threat.
You can convince me that you're not a threat by dealing with the threat.
I see, that's the issue, is I can't really do anything about NerdGirl. And NerdGirl is drawing 3 cards that go around the table, and her creatures are getting bigger. And if I attack into her, I die in the backswing. There's so many issues for me.
I'm just chilling.
I have to play a land for turn, because if I don't advance my board state, then nothing's going to happen. So I will lose that life, and you'll get your counters.
Okay, I will go to 4, 8, and get a card.
I think I just really can't do much. I'm going to pay 2 for an Orzhov Signet. And then we'll pay 6 for my Commander Amanatu. I mean, the only thing I can do to NerdGirl is send something like 4 flyers, 5 flyers at her, which she can block 1 and take like 16, but that's all I can do, and I need support from you guys, because honestly, I can't do anything else.
I can't help, but I won't hurt you.
Seems worth it.
I think so, and I do not have good ways to support you, but I will support you in whatever ways I can.
Okay.
Here's the other thing. If one of your angels dies, I get a card, which gets me one step closer to an angel.
But so do I.
Yeah, but you have a million cards.
Yeah.
What's a million plus 1?
We can't. If a game action happens, you draw a card, so we can't stop that.
It's a turn-based action at this point. It's just...
I will go to combat. So heading into combat, because I have made friends with 2 people who also are very scared, I will send 5 angels at NerdGirl as an attack. They are flying, so do with that what you will. Oh, stop!
Don't do with that what you will.
Just take it. I don't have anything to offer you, and I can't be your friend. Stop.
You're attacking with 20 power flyers. I will take 1 point of damage. And just to make your treachery seem a little worse, I'm going to make everybody lose a life for each creature they control with a Rakdos charm. I could also exile a player's graveyard, which I was hoping to save for Airball, or I could exile an artifact.
I have 8 creatures, so...
You do, so you'll take 8. I take 5.
Yeah, I'll put this back in my mana base, and I'll take 2.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
And then I'll just move to blocks, and I will block 1 of the angels. And then I will take the other 4. So I take 16. A creature died, so I will get a card off the Morbid Opportunist. And a creature died. Joe, you'll take 1, I'll gain 1. Off of the Blood Artist.
I will pass to you, Airball.
What creatures are in people's graveyards?
Brash Taunter. If you use it against me, I'll cry.
Oh, yes, please do it.
I have an Archetype of Imagination.
I cannot use it against you, but I will pay 1 green into the ooze and eat it.
Oh, thank God, I want it gone.
To put a counter on the ooze and gain a life. All right, I'll pay the last green I have into the ooze to eat whichever one you like less. on your end step, I will also draw a card off of Death Reap Ritual because a creature died.
Absolutely. I hope it's a good one.
We're going to pay 4 for Harmonize. Draw 3, try to find an answer to Nerd Girl. Yeah, you know what I do want. Let's go ahead and just pay the remaining 5 mana to cast Old Stick Fingers with X equal to 3. When you cast this spell, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X creatures. Put all creature cards revealed this way into your graveyard, and then put the rest on the bottom. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures in your graveyard.
When you cast Stick Fingers, I will get a treasure.
So let's go. We have a Nyx Weaver. A Noxious Gearhulk.
Okay.
And a Hornet Queen.
Oh.
So we have some choices.
Yeah.
All right, then I think I'm going to swing Winter over at Veggie because I don't want Joe to die. Attack trigger, we will mill 3. We have a Exotic Orchard, a Whip of Erebos, and a Mind Stone.
I will take 2 damage.
Oh, you're so dead to that.
On my end step, I will get a Winter trigger. I'm going to exile Artifact, Creature, Sorcery, and Land to satisfy Delirium, and we're going to bring back the Noxious Gearhulk. Noxious Gearhulk says, it's a 5/4 with Menace, and when it enters, I can destroy another target creature, and if it's successfully destroyed that way, I gain life equal to its toughness. I'm going to destroy the Nightblade Harvester.
Okay, so I'll get a couple of triggers when that dies. Morbid Opportunist will trigger from the death, and Blood Artist, and I'll make Airball lose a life, which means I'll still get the Yawgmoth trigger off of you, so you could have played your land.
It's true.
So let's go ahead and start with it dying. I will draw off the Morbid Opportunist. Blood Artist will make you lose a life, I'll gain a life, which will still trigger Valgavoth, which means I'll still get to draw a card and put a counter on it.
When the Gearhulk trigger resolves, that creature had 10 toughness, I believe, so I'll gain 10.
Oh yeah, poo. That's unfortunate.
And Noxious Gearhulk and Scavenging Ooze do have finality counters, even though that hasn't been reflected up to this point. And I will pass the turn to Nerd Girl. May God have mercy on us all.
All right, well, let's just start chipping away at your life total, and I'm gonna come in for 9.
Yeah, F6, take 9. That's commander damage? Yeah.
This Blood Artist was originally just an insurance policy because my hand was pretty weak, but I top decked this Blasphemous Act, and I think now is the time for me to use it to put myself in the driver's seat. I think what I need to do is cast Blasphemous Act.
Oh no, that's exactly what I was thinking you would have.
This costs 1 less for each creature that's on the battlefield, and it's gonna deal 13 damage to each creature.
Veggie, well, actually, your priority's on you, so let's put priority on you.
I will let you know I cannot counter this.
You no longer have to kill me. You can. But we are going to a board state where we are not enemies anymore.
Is this coming to a middle?
The middle here is please don't kill me.
Okay.
Okay, well, I was hoping there was going to be some substance there, but I do have a response. I am going to flip up this Eudora Gravegardener. Whenever another non-token creature I control dies, I can return it to the battlefield face down under its owner's control as a forest.
Okay, well, I'm gonna let priority go around the table.
Nope.
We'll at least make Nerd Girl spend 1 more piece of removal.
In response to the Trail of Mystery trigger, I will cast Chaos Warp onto your the Giggling Skitter Spike, which when I target it will deal 6 damage to the 3 of us.
Mm-hmm. That will put me to 2.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good to resolve the Chaos Warp then?
We're gonna need something good.
I hope it's another creature for Blood Artist to hit you with.
Okay. Show me the end.
Does anybody else wanna?
No, it's gotta be you.
Show me the end.
It is a Quandrix Campus.
Nice.
So that will enter the battlefield, and I'll get to manifest dread.
Is it May?
It is not.
It's a creature!
Oh!
Veggie's gonna kill himself with Manifest.
Oh.
Oh.
no.
I'll put this here. It's a manifest, and put this Zimone's Hypothesis into the graveyard.
Before this resolves, I do have. It doesn't really do anything, and there's almost. I don't think there's anything that could be here to save me, but I'd be a fool not to try. I will cast Otherworldly Gaze from my graveyard using a treasure and my land to surveil the top 3. I mean, these don't do anything, so I'll put them in my graveyard.
Okay, so it looks like we're good to resolve Blasphemous Act, and it looks like we are going to kill 21 creatures.
I believe that is correct.
All right, so actually, no. 2 of them will not die.
Oh?
They have finality counters on them.
Oh! That's only 19!
All right, there are 21 creatures on the board, but unfortunately 2 of them have finality counters on them, so they don't actually die. So Blood Artist will see 19 creatures die. I will also get a trigger off of the Morbid Opportunist when 1 creature dies.
I will also get some triggers because Eudora lived, so that will return Rashmi, this Team of War Shaman, and this Evolving Wilds, which were my face down. Those will all return as forests, and I will put Simone in the command zone.
All right, you have got 19 decisions to make.
Yeah, I think the Miracles deck is the deck that is the scariest for me.
No, it's not.
I think Veggie will... I guess you are making me a really sweet deal, huh?
Yes, I can try and I will go all out to kill Airball first, which is doing your bidding, essentially.
That is a very sweet deal that it's hard for me to turn down.
You are a burn deck. You are definitely... That deck is definitely intended to be dealing damage to other players on their turn.
Excellent assessment.
I don't want to die! That's all I'm doing. This is called begging and pleading, Veggie. All
Oh,
right?
I know what it is. I'm glad that you're here, because normally it's me doing it.
Please don't kill me. All right, now that I'm all the way down to 2 life, I need to get on my hands and knees and beg Nerdgirl not to kill me. Seriously, Veggie's the real threat. Get him, get him.
I'm sorry, Veggie. I think Joe's deal is too tempting, so I'm going to deal all 19 damage to you.
I will die with my handful of lands, this glitch interpreter that we knew, and big old board wipe in hand.
Oh no, that's another board wipe.
So I will gain the 19, most importantly. All right, I will also get a card draw off of the Morbid Opportunist. It's a good card. I'm going to play a land for turn. It's going to come into play tapped. The Leech-Ridden Swamp. I can pay a black and tap it, and each opponent loses a life, but I can only activate if I have 2 black permanents. I will then pay 3 to cast Braid's Arisen Nightmare. A 3/3 that says at the beginning of my end step I can sacrifice an artifact, a land, a creature, an enchantment, or a planeswalker. If I do, each opponent may also sacrifice that, but if they don't, they lose 2 life, and I can draw a card.
Big choice for you, Joe.
Help me, help me.
Okay, now here's the question. Do I just want to sacrifice a land to get a land from both of you, or do I want to sacrifice Braids herself and kill Joe? That feels like too good a deal.
You gotta go.
I will indeed sacrifice the Braids herself. So 2 opponents cannot pay, so they will both take 2, and I will draw 2, which feels like real good.
Yeah, no, you don't have a Dryad Arbor?
I'm dead. I didn't hide my Dryad Arbor well enough.
So I'll draw those 2, and then I'll move to my discard step.
Well, at the beginning of your end step, I'll draw a card from the Death Reap ritual because I think a creature died that turn.
I'll move to discard, and I have to discard 4 cards, so we're going to just discard 4 lands. Go ahead, Airball.
All right.
Honestly, it was a miracle that you lasted that long, Joe.
All right. Well, here we go. Let's just go ahead and pay 6 to redeploy Winter, and the remaining 2 for a Sakura Tribe Elder. 1/1, sack it, search your library for basic land, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. And the effect so nice, we'll do it twice. I'm going to play this Evolving Wilds from my hand, which has, I think, exactly the same text. On my end step, I'll get a Winter trigger, and I will exile this Delirium worth of cards. We have Enchantment Artifact, Land, and Creature, and I will choose to put this permanent from among them onto the battlefield. That is the Hornet Queen, which is a 2/2 insect, flying death touch, and when it enters, make 4 1/1 green insect creature tokens with flying and death touch. And that is all I can do for the turn.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just start with a Massacre Girl, a 4/4 with Menace. When it enters, all creatures other than her get -1/-1 till end of turn. If a creature dies, it triggers an additional time. So your 4 insects will trigger, which should wipe your board, except for, I'm guessing, Steve.
Yeah, Steve's going away. I'm going to sack him in response and fetch a basic land, but that is all I can do. The board will die. I'm also gonna crack the Evolving Wilds and put another basic into play, so double search at the same time. But yeah, everything's gonna die. All right, I will put this swamp and this forest into play, and everything else will go away.
I'm gonna go ahead and play Dragon Skull Summit as my land for turn. And then I'm gonna cast Barbed Flare Goblin. First strike and haste, it's a 3/2 that says whenever a player taps land for mana, if this creature is tapped, it instead gets twice as much, but you take a ping of damage. So now I can go ahead and go to combat.
Yeah.
We're gonna attack you for 3 because we have haste.
I'll take it.
All right. Now my land also counts for double, so I'm gonna go ahead and tap the 2. I will take 2 damage. And I'm going to further lock you down by playing a Rampaging Ferocidon, a 3/3 with Menace that says players cannot gain life, and whenever a creature other than this enters the battlefield, you're gonna lose another life. So I would love for you to tap your lands and play creatures, and I'll say go.
It's okay, son. I'll support you in whatever game that you lose in.
I won't. You better win.
On your end step, some creatures died. I will draw a card off the Death Reap Ritual. All right, start by tapping 3 to cast Putrefy, targeting Rampaging Ferocidon. I tapped a land for the privilege. I will take 1 from the other creature.
Okay.
Putrefy reads destroy target artifact or creature. It can't be regenerated.
It is destroyed. That means you can play creatures again. Boo.
Yeah.
And gain life.
We'll tap for 5 to cast Dim Oubliette, which is one of the rooms on this card. It says, when you unlock this door, mill 3 cards, then return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So we'll go ahead and mill 3, and I'll take a damage for tapping the Rot Farm. Get Swamp, Grapple with the Past, and Arcane Signet. No real help. As weird as it is, I think I'm just going to rebuy the Haywire Might. I'll play this Tainted Wood as my land for turn. And then I'll pay 8, taking 4 more to replay Winter for the second time this game. And you know what? What the hell? We'll unlock this Polluted Cistern. Polluted Cistern, whenever 1 or more cards is put into your graveyard from your library, each opponent loses 1 life for each card type among those cards. For 2 more mana, and I'll take 1 more. And then we will go to my end step. With my Winter trigger on my end step, I will exile creature, instant, artifact, and land, and I will rebuy the Gnarlwood Dryad, which we saw earlier in the game before I killed it myself with my own board wipe. And then I will pass the turn.
Okay, kill him.
All right, we're gonna start by tapping 7. I won't take any damage for it. And we're gonna cast Kervek the Merciless, a 5/4 that says whenever an opponent casts a spell, this can deal damage to any target equal to its mana value.
Bye-bye.
And then for 3, we're gonna play Theater of Horrors. At the beginning of my upkeep, I can exile the top card of my library. Then during my turn, if an opponent has lost life, I may play lands and cast spells from among the exiled cards this way. I can also pay 4 to deal 1 damage to target opponent. And then to wrap things up, I'm gonna go ahead and cast the Harsh Mentor, a 2/2 that says whenever an opponent activates an ability of an artifact, a creature, or a land, if it wasn't a mana ability, I get to deal 2 damage to that player. And I was thinking about attacking, making you have to decide some stuff, but I don't think I will. I think I'll just pass.
I think you may have gotten there, but I'm gonna start my turn with Temple of the False God. It's a land that taps for 2, and it does tap for 2 because I control 5 or more other lands. And I think I have one last trick up my sleeve. I'm going to pay 3 for a Whisper Silk Cloak. It is an equipment. Equipped creature can't be blocked and has Shroud. So you'll get a trigger.
I will get a trigger. I get 3 points of damage. Where do I want to put that? So I will attempt to kill your 3/3.
Okay, it's dead. Then I'll pay 2 and go to equip Winter with the Whisper Silk Cloak.
You'll take an additional 2 from the Harsh Mentor.
Yes. Let's go to combat.
Okay.
I'm gonna swing Winter in at you. It's unblockable, and we are going to get the Mill 3 trigger off of him. Got an Ash Barrens, a Burnished Heart, and a Rampant Growth. These were not what I was looking for. However, because of the Polluted Cistern, you will take 1, 2, 3, 4 damage.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And I guess Winter will connect.
Yep, I'll take an additional 2 commander.
Okay, well, I think the only thing left to do is to tap the forest and sack the Might. Will target the Theater of Horrors to be exiled.
I was really hoping Airball would let me get into combat before killing my theater, because once I'm in combat, I can activate the theater a ton of times using the double mana. I'll take 2, but that's okay. Airball is at much lower life than me. Okay, when you activate the Might, you'll take an additional 2 damage from the Harsh Mentor.
Yes, and when the Might dies, I will gain 2.
Okay, so this will go away.
Yeah, and the only reason I did that is because when we go to my end step, we'll have 2 triggers. We'll have the Winter and the Death Reap Ritual, and I wanted to be able to draw a card by having a creature of mine die in the end step. So we'll draw that card. It's not particularly helpful. I don't think anything else in the graveyard really is. Let me double check that. I am going to, with my Winter trigger, I'm going to exile these 4 cards. We have Land, Artifact, Sorcery, and Creature, and the creature I'll bring back is Principal Skinner again. When he enters, I get to put a +1/+1 counter on something. I will choose himself, because why not? Yeah, I'll pass the turn.
Okay.
In your upkeep, because I have Delirium, I get to put another +1/+1 counter on something. I'll choose him again.
All right, and I finally get to use my Leech-ridden Swamp. I will pay 2, including the Swamp, to deal 1 damage to each opponent.
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
That's going to allow me to pay 1 more and cast Light Up the Stage for its spectacle cost. I get to exile the top 2 cards of my library, and until end of turn, I can cast those until the end of my next turn. So that'll be a Swamp and a Mountain. I will play a land for turn. I'm gonna then just pay 4, and we're gonna cast the last card in my hand, Solemn Simulacrum. When he enters, I can search for a basic land and put it onto the battlefield tapped, and whenever it dies, I can draw. All right, I'm gonna hope that you cannot trade with my Karavek, and I just wanna put pressure on the board, and at least the Gremlin will also pressure you, so we're gonna swing with the whole team.
Yeah.
And hopefully not spring your trap card.
Yeah, no trap card. I'm just going to throw the creature in front of your biggest attacker, which is Karavek.
Yeah.
So I will take the rest, 3,
9.
7, 9.
Now that the Gremlin is tapped, my land does tap for double, so I can tap 3 lands, take 3 damage for 6, and 2 to cast my commander. He's back. And then I will pass the turn.
I'm gonna throw one last Hail Mary. I'm gonna play this Woodland Cemetery as my land for turn. So we'll come in, swing for 2. We're going to mill 3 cards, see what we find. That's 3 card types that got milled, so that is 3 damage to you from the Polluted Cistern.
3. And the cloak is still on, so I can't block, so I take 2 more commander damage.
Yep. I'll go to my end step and I'll exile Delirium Worth to bring back the Grimflayer. He gets +2/+2 as long as I have Delirium, and that's it.
All right. I will untap, and oh, that's a good one to finish it off. I'll make sure Sir Conrad comes onto the battlefield and then attack you with everything.
Yeah, that's gonna do it.
Yeah!
Ooh, that deck looks fun.
It's a cat in a box. What is it? It's dead.
do you know?
Is it dead or alive?
Both simultaneously.
I don't understand. Is this a reference? Is that a joke?
I think it was
Star Trek. It might be, it might not be. You can't tell until the comments let us know.
Man, my deck had a lot of powerful things to do, and honestly, I was so close to doing them. The main issue I seemed to face was just I couldn't get there. My slow start just hampered me too much, while everyone ramped ahead of me and killed me.
Don't forget, today's episode sponsor is the Elven Throne Kickstarter. You still have 11 days left to back this Kickstarter for yourself and add this amazing board game to your collection.
I know I'm not throwing away my shot to get this board game.
You can't laugh when you do it.
I'm not throwing away my shot to get this board game.
Use the link in the description so they know we sent you.
I still love playing a Vuvuzela in the park.
Well, they must have a real big Vuvuzela. That's why.
Yeah, what they say about guys with big Vuvuzelas.
I've heard the buzz.
Go away, both of you.
You know, if you take your play, then it's...
Oh my god.
Ooh, box office flop. I just took too long with the exposition and never really got to the finale. And as we all know, the real killer is always NerdGirl.
Don't forget to support your favorite Commander show by doing something you were going to do anyway, and that's buy Magic singles. And you can do so by using our sponsor, TOA.
It really is that easy, and Tales of Adventure has a wide selection of singles from the most basic printings all the way through the most premium versions. And they've also started stocking sealed product now, so you don't need to go anywhere else for anything Magic.
And you get 5% off your entire order when you use code DECKEDOUT at checkout.
And you should know by now, the link is down in the description, right there.
They did do Meat Hook Massacre 2, so maybe this is just Blasphemous Act 2.
Should be. Or Meat Hook Massacre 2.
Blasphemous Act 2 back in the habit. Yeah, that's a Sister Act joke.
Well, that game flew south on me in a hurry, but I think a lot of the core of the deck is actually really good. I'm gonna spend some time upgrading it, and then you guys better watch out. Winter is coming.
If you're building decks and you're not using Moxfield, then I feel bad for you. It just is the best tool for organizing, customizing, and collaborating on all of your decks.
In fact, it's the only way that our team can keep up with building sometimes over 20 decks per month. And it's the way that we can share our deck lists with you in a nice, easy format.
You can always support the show too, just by following us on Moxfield, where you can find every deck that's ever been on the show.
Why am I, like, in my head, I'm cheering for NerdGirl, but no, go Airball. In my head, I was literally like, go NerdGirl, good comeback. And I was like, no, wait, you need to win because I got demolished by her.
Yeah, I was just starting to feel some sort of parental affection for the first time from you. I can't lose that.
On the plane of Duskmourn, Valgavoth is the demon that has possessed the house that everyone is trapped in. And my opponents failed to remember that when you sit down to play, the house always wins.
Ultimate Guard is the industry leader in TCG accessories.
And Ultimate Guard products are the way that all three of us on the Decked Out team are able to organize, protect, and display our collections. And they're the best way to show off all of our cards on camera for you.
So make sure you use the link down below in the description to support the show and pick yourself up some amazing upgrades. We'd like to thank our patrons. Without your support, this show would not be possible.
Your support, specifically you, Joseph, thank you for that. That is what is able to keep this show weekly.
And if you would like to become part of the show, there's no better time than now, because we are looking for more patrons to help keep the show weekly in 2025. We have fallen under our goal that helps us pay our editors and all of those things. So if you would like to support the channel, now is the perfect time.
And as always, you can support us by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. That's all we have for today's episode. We'll see you next time on
Decked Out.